Greetings! In today's video, I'm gonna take you guys through a new haul of art supplies that I was able to get from Temu. Again, you guys know what's my goal with this kind of video. I want to get items that I know I will use, that I know will last. And my basic idea is to try and find those good deals, in the sense that I want things that I will use first and also things that will not break the bank second. So let's go through this batch of items and I will try to explain as I go my mindset behind why I was interested in this specific item. So what I have here is a set of watercolor pencils. These were very affordable and they looked good, and I really wanted to give them a try. At the moment, I do not have any watercolor pencils, but I think they would be great to do sketches and then paint over them and use inking as the very last step. This way I can ink with inks that are not waterproof, or I can ink with paint that is not ice diluted, or I might even be able to ink with these pencils on top of everything. So that's my goal with these. The brand is Marco Raffiné, which is basically refined in French. So you get a sneak peek at the pencils here. So yeah, they look like watercolor pencils. I don't really have anything to note at the moment. I will have more of an opinion after I've tried these, of course. The second item I want to look at is this one. I will unwrap it. This item, as you can see, is meant to be water-soluble pastels. Now, it got a bit roughed up in transit. Hopefully I can pop the tin back out. So in here, we get a little pamphlet. Oh, hey, they get extra point for getting the primary triad right. Also, their demo are really cute. Okay, this one is a bit messy, but the tiger shape is really cute in my opinion. It's a plastic tray. Interesting thing about this plastic tray, there's a rough texture area that I think is meant to be the place where you can scrape down some colors, and then you got a few mixing area. It's a bit flimsy. From the images I thought this was gonna be metal and part of the lid, but obviously it's not. And then also what is really fun is that this little set comes with the pastels, but also with a water brush and a sharpener. I might be able to remove the insert to work out the kink in the tin, but also at the same time, since it seems to be quite well designed in that aspect, that the ding doesn't really impact the pencils themselves. So it's purely cosmetic at this point in time, and if eventually I get to the point where I use up all of these, I can remove the insert more carelessly and fix the tin. I was able to find a lot of good deals on sketchbooks and paper, so that's going to be what we'll take a look at next. Something that most of you probably know, Balhong paper. This paper is quite well known by now. It's available in a lot of places. It's really good paper. It's affordable. It has a nice texture. 100% cotton paper. I got this pad of 300 GSM in cold press because that's my favorite texture of paper. For now, I will just leave it wrapped because I don't want to mess it up. But when I get to talking a bit more about this paper in a future video, you'll be able to see all the specs from up close. Another sketchbook that I saw that I thought was really interesting is this one from Semi Art. It's a watercolor handbook. I don't know what's the difference between a handbook and a sketchbook, but it's 300 GSM as well. It has 24 sheets. It's meant for watercolor. This one we might be able to take a look at the paper more easily. It's a nice polyurethane leather cover. Good pages. The guard pages seem to be quite nice. And it seems to be decent paper. Does it say what's the composition? Well, it says it's medium coarse grain. So it's probably cellulose paper. So it's quite heavily textured on both sides. The sheets are perforated. Good sewn signature binding. Seems to be quite nice. We'll have to see as I use it, but so far nothing really jumps at me as being a major flaw. It says Semi Art, enjoy painting in the back, which I think is cute. Oh, does it have a pocket on the last page? Oh, it does. So I quite like when sketchbooks have pockets because that's usually where I keep the packaging. Not because the packaging has any value, really. It's often just to keep the information with the sketchbook. Next one, it's gonna be obvious right away why I picked it. It has cats on it. It's a fabric cover and the pattern is a bunch of cat faces. So yeah, when I saw it, I was like, oh, what's this one about? And it says it's a travel series watercolor paper, 300 gram. Yeah, that's about it for the info I can read. Oh, that's lovely. That's a nice presentation. I quite like that. And it's on a sheet that is not watercolor paper, so you're not gonna, you know, waste a page. Also, I appreciate that they scored the paper to fold it. That's a really nice attention to detail that I haven't seen in one of these before. It's signatures that are sewn together and maybe glued. Hopefully everything holds well together. Also has a pocket at the end so I can keep this little wraparound in there. Obviously with the cloth cover it's gonna attract cat hair and dust and whatnot, but I don't mind it really. I like having cloth covers. When they're plain I put some patches on them, but when they have a cute pattern like this I'm probably just gonna leave it as is. Also, I like landscape format. I think it's my favorite format if I have to pick one. I can work with just about anything, but if I have to choose, I really like landscape format. Our next item is another sketchbook. This one, just as I was saying that I prefer landscape, this one is a portrait format, but it seems to be a good size for working out things. It's not too narrow if you compare. But yeah, I like these too, and often what I can do with these is use a full spread to give me this horizontal format. Very thick cardboard cover. It's like a canvas texture, but it doesn't feel like fabric. It feels more like fake leather. It's cloth bound, has an elastic, no pockets at the end. And this one, what's interesting with this one is that it's mixed media paper, so it's not exactly the same approach. The paper has a good thickness, it has a texture, but it's also much smoother. And it seems to have a different texture on the back of the paper. I have no idea if that will be visible. But a different texture on the back than the front. It seems to be very nicely bound. And so far, as you can see, I've tried quite a few different styles of these, and they're really nice in my opinion. There's a good care to the detail of it, having rounded corners, of having like a binding that doesn't break away right away. I've bought like relatively expensive sketchbooks that had binding issues, and these are much more affordable, and so far these seem to be really well made. So on a budget, that's a blessing. Then I got this very teeny tiny pad. So it's a glued pad, but it's made to be on the very horizontal or very vertical format. And I am not sure what they made this with in mind. It could be bookmark, it could be, you know, just little vignettes of drawing outside. It's a more of a hot pressed textured paper. Seems to be really nice. And it's supposed to be 100% cotton. So I think this is a really cute, really fun format for a travel set you can bring with you. And I really like it. I'm eager to try it. As I was looking at the watercolor supplies, I also found a few palettes that I wanted to add to my selection of palettes, starting with this one. It's a very simple palette. As you can hear, it came with pans. So it's a pretty straightforward item, but what I like is that it's such a good starting point for a travel palette. You get a plastic palette So that's something that will not rust, that's something that's relatively lightweight and also resistant. And also you have the option of getting it with the pans. So basically all you need to do at this point is either fill these pans or substitute some of them for pans you already have, and you're good to go. If you want this to be extra secure, what I would do is just put a tiny piece of blue tack under the pans and glue them in place. I love using blue tack for fixing pans in all sorts of situations because it's non-permanent, it's really easy to manage, you can switch pans around, and it's cheap. You can get a really nice block of blue tack and it's going to be enough for so many palettes. Here I have another little palette. So the deal with this specific one is that it comes with a full lid rubber gasket. You can also, I think you could get this one without the pans if you want to use it as is, but it has this, I don't know if you'll be able to see, but there's this pad in the lid that makes it excessively waterproof. So if you want to put gouache in a palette and have the gouache stay wet, or if you paint and you travel with your palette and you don't want to make a mess when it's time to leave and you're just closing your palette and leaving, I think a palette like this, and put this in like a sandwich zip bag if you want to be extra safe, that's a really safe bet to not make a mess. And then when you get back to your place or your hotel room or whatever, you can just open it back up to let the paints dry. Now, I don't know if this is like excessively sticky and will keep on picking up pans every time I open it. It's a really nice size, it's very compact, it's very travel friendly, and it has room for 15 colors, which is a really good amount of colors. To stay on the topic of portable palettes, so right away, it's such a sleek looking palette. And then the fun part of it is you open it up and you have this sliding mixing palette that you can arrange however you want. Also, I think with the right instrument, you can prop this tray out so you can wash it. And then it seems to come with a foam for a travel brush that is pre-cut, so you can remove this part, leave this in, and you can put your travel brush snug in there. But also it has this bottom tray that I think is removable, yes. And it has room for 28 colors. That's so many colors. And such a small palette, and it seems to be nice sturdy plastic, and when you're done you just clip it back and it stays in place well. This is a really fun feature as well, to be able to rotate this lid and then clip it back. It's up to you whether you want to include the foam in here for a travel brush. I'd be curious to see if one can fit some extra pans in here. But yeah, I really like this design. And then we have yet another little palette. This one is a really tiny little tin with a small insert. What I like of this insert is that it goes the full height of the tin. I don't like when my inserts are too low, like half of the tin. I don't know why, it bothers me. This one has room for 24 colors, so I think this can be a really fun option. Now, if I were to be able to remove this tray, I would probably fix it in place with a bit of blue tack at the bottom, just so it doesn't move around when I try to pick color, but that's not really something that I would consider an issue. I have one last little travel palette, though I think this one is not exactly travel friendly. This one, in my opinion, is pretty enough to be left on the desk. Seems to be made from bamboo, which I really appreciate. It has a clip that works with a little ball bearing at the bottom. And when you open it, oh wow, and it came with a swatch card, which I guess you can keep in the top. But it came with 36 little pans, tend to be jumbled. Again, this traveled quite some distance to get here, so. But if you leave it on your desk, I really doubt that the pans are gonna budge. And I think it's a really fun little desk palette because it holds a lot of paint. It has a bit of a smell. I think it's the bamboo because I'm pretty sure I've had some bamboo cutlery that had that kind of smell to it too. It's not a bad smell, but it's noticeable. So if you're really sensitive to smell, perhaps that's something to keep in mind. But I really like the look of this palette. The box seems to be nicely made. The hinges are screwed on. The finish of the box itself is quite lovely. I have a couple of little items that are not in any category per se, but I'll go through them. They're all watercolor or art related, but they don't fit a specific category. This first one here is a travel sponge. Ooh, why does it feel wet? That's weird. Oh, that's such a weird feeling. But yeah, I will definitely go rinse that and dry it up before I use it. But it's a little sponge for your brushes. You know, when you rinse a brush or want to dab some paint off, I use rags, but this is meant to be a travel-friendly option because it comes in a little container that you can clip closed, and it has paw prints on it. And I wanted to give this a try because what seems to be a good advantage of this is I suspect it will hold on to lint and dust and fur less than rags. So I'm eager to test this out to see how it compares because I'm always fighting off hair, dust and lint from my brushes. The next little item here that I have is something that I haven't gotten before from Temu. It is a set of shimmery paints that come in quarter pans that are glued with double-sided tape in this little box. I wanted to give these a try. I thought this color selection was very usable for my personal usage. Alright, so next item I have these two lovely brushes. From Simi Art. They are two quills. One is a size 4, one is a size 5. Of course, I have to wet these and get the tip to soften before I can really give my opinion on them. But I plan on testing these out and I will eventually report on them, so stay tuned for that. Now I'm gonna clear these items because the very last thing I have is a bit bigger than the space that I have left, so give me a sec. So as you can see, this is quite a large item. It is a desk easel. So it has a clip and then I can open it. This part goes down and it has a few spots that I can have the angle for. And also it has this is a drawer for supplies. Now I've been looking for a desk easel for some time and I thought this was a really good opportunity to pick one up. I'm always drawing flat and it's giving me a lot of issues with my shoulder and back. But all the other things that I've tried to prop up my canvases, my surfaces, my sketchbooks, they haven't been really successful. So when I saw this desk easel on Temu, I knew I wanted to give it a try. The wood is quite lightweight. I'm not sure what the composition is, but I like how you can really easily store it away. And also the clasps to keep everything in place. Also it has a handle. It's a bit hard to see, but that's everything from this Temu order. I'm really eager to get into these. I've started getting into the previous batch and now I have even more to play with, which I'm really excited because I think all of these are really nice. And again, I'm very happy to be able to find these supplies before they become available with a huge markup on them. I know this is all stuff that I will use, so I'm just excited to get into it more. Let me know if there are anything in there that you think is particularly exciting to you, that particularly inspires you, or that you would like me to try first. I want to say a big thank you to Temu for sending me these to showcase and to play with. I'm really thankful and I'm also very excited to try all this stuff out. If you would like to check these out on Temu and also have great deals. Download Temu via the link in the description to claim a $100 coupon bundle and to shop for an extra 90% off. I'll have all the info, all the codes, all the details in the description, and also links to all the items that I've shown in this video. So thank you so much for watching this video, and see you all in the next one. Bye bye!